Sweet Pieces Inspirations. Today I'm excited to walk you through how to make the Blushing Hexi Cardi. This pattern is super versatile. You can easily adjust the size from infant to 3X and beyond just by continuing the repeats. And speaking of repeats, this project is built on a 2-row repeat. You'll do the same stitching throughout, just a slight difference in how each row starts and ends. We will work 2 panels, fold them, seam them together, and I will be showing you the easiest way how to get that perfect Hexi Cardi fold each time. Today's tutorial is worked in US terms, so you will need to be familiarized with chain stitches, single crochet back post, along with double crochet. Materials that you are going to need for today's project. Let's start off with a yarn. I use Lighthouse Wildflower in the color Blushing Bride. This is a light DK weight yarn. I did use about 3.5 donuts, which have 136 yards in each. Now, the size that I created was a child small to medium. How much yardage you are going to need is going to depend on how big or how small you create your project. The good thing about today's Hexi Cardi is there's no specific numbers that you need. So it's, like I stated earlier, it is very easy to manipulate in size. Now, the hook that I used was a 5¼ millimeter hook. Which gave it a little bit more drapiness if you are using a DK weight yarn. You can also use a worsted weight yarn. Now, it won't be as lightweight as the DK, but you can also use worsted weight if you feel free. And then also you will need a tapestry or darning needle to weave in your ends, and also seam up your sleeves along with the 2 panels together. And also scissors, of course. So some just basic materials for today's project. So if you are ready, I am. Let's go ahead and grab our yarn, grab our hooks, and let's get started. So there's 2 different ways that you can start this project, by either creating a magic circle and then work a chain 3, or you can do the chain method, which is what I prefer. So we'll start off by chaining 4. And then we are going to work into that 4th chain from the hook. And that chain 3 is going to count as a stitch. So now we are going to place 2 double crochets into that 4th chain from your hook. And then you are going to chain 2. So that is going to count as our first corner. And then you will place 3 double crochets again into that same space. And then you'll chain 2. That's going to count as our second corner. And that is going to be the repeat unit for this round. So each chain 2 is going to count as a corner, and you need a total of 6 corners. So again, you will place 3 double crochets. And then a chain 2. So go ahead and continue working that until you have a total of 6 corners. And you shall leave off with a chain of 2. Now we're going to slip stitch into the top of that chain 3. And then slip all the way to that first corner, which is that chain 2 space. And once you have slipped to that corner, you're going to go ahead and chain 3, and we will work our corner stitches. So that chain 3 does count as a stitch. You'll place 2 double crochets into that chain 2 space, chain 2, and then 3 double crochets into that same space. Once you have that second set of the 3 double crochets, we will now work a chain of 3, and we're going to go to the 3 double crochets from the row below, and you're going to find that middle stitch, and you will place a double crochet into that space, and then you'll chain 3 and work your next corner. So again, that is going to be 3 double crochets, a chain of 2, and then 3 more double crochets into that same space. Then you will chain 3, find that middle stitch of the 3 double crochets from the row below, and place a double crochet. Then chain 3. And that is going to be our repeat unit. So go ahead and work your next corner by placing 3 double crochets, a chain 2, and then 3 double crochets all into that same space. Then chain 3, and then double crochet into that middle stitch of the 3 from the row below. And then chain 3 again and work your next corner. You should now leave off with a chain 3. We're going to slip stitch to the top of that chain 3 that we made at the beginning. And then we're going to slip stitch 1 stitch over. So now we are going to be working on our repeating rows. And the first repeating row, we are going to start off with a chain of 6. And that's going to count as a double crochet and then a chain of 3. And then we are going to work our first corner. So you'll place 3 double crochets, a chain 2, and then 3 double crochets. Once you have your first corner made, you're going to chain 3. You're going to find that middle double crochet of the 3 from the row below and place a double crochet into that space. Then chain 3, Into that next chain 3 space, you're going to place a double crochet, double crochet to the top of the double from the row below, and then double crochet into that next chain 3, you will chain 3, find that middle double crochet of the 3 from the row below and place a double crochet, chain 3, and that is going to be our repeat unit. So you will work the next corner by placing 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 double crochets all into that same space. Chain 3, and we will now begin working the repeat unit over again, starting with that chain of 3. You'll find the middle double crochet of the 3 from the row below and place a double crochet into that stitch, chain 3, into that next chain space, you'll place a double crochet, double crochet to the top of that double from the row below, and double crochet into that next chain 3 space, chain 3, double crochet into that second double crochet of the 3 from the row below, chain 3, and that is the repeat unit. So you will work your next corner placing 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 more double crochets all into that same space. And then you will start the repeat unit over again. Go ahead and continue repeating that until you have made it all the way back around. You're going to leave off with a chain of 3, and then you're going to slip stitch into that 3rd chain of the 6. And now we will begin working the 2nd repeating row. Now real quick, I want to kind of go over the difference between the 1st and 2nd repeating row, because it's going to seem as if we're doing the exact same thing, which we are. The difference is how we start. So for the 1st repeating row, we started with a chain of 6, which counted as a double crochet and then a chain of 3. For the 2nd repeating row, we're going to start off with a chain of 3 because that's going to count as a double crochet. And we're going to start off by working half of these 3 double crochets that are right next to each other. So once you have that chain 3, into that next chain space, you're going to place a double crochet. And then you're going to chain 3, And now we are going to place a double crochet into that middle stitch of the 3 double crochets from the row below. So place your double crochet into that middle stitch. And then chain 3. Go ahead and work your first corner by placing 3 double crochets. A chain 2 and 3 double crochets all into that same space. Then you're going to work a chain of 3, double crochet into that middle stitch, chain 3, work a double crochet into the next chain space, double crochet into the top of that double crochet from the row below, and then double crochet into that chain 3 space, chain 3, double crochet into that middle stitch of the 3 double crochets, chain 3, double crochet into that next chain 3 space, double crochet into the top of that double crochet, and double crochet into that chain 3. Chain 3, double crochet into that middle stitch, chain 3, and now we are at our next corner. So you'll work your corner stitch, so 3 double crochets, a chain 2, and 3 double crochets all into that same space. As you may be able to tell, you are doing the exact same thing in the first and second repeating row. The only difference between the two, again, like I stated before, is the way you start and end your row. So real quick over again, the first repeating row, you're going to start with a chain of 6, and then the second repeating row, you're going to start with a chain of 3. You're going to go ahead and continue working those rows until you have gotten your desired length. Once you have gotten your desired length, I'll meet you to sew up both panels, which you do need to make 2 panels, and then we will start working on the edge trim work for our cardigan. When you've gotten to the point that you are now ready to fold to create your panels for the sleeve and the body, I'm going to show you the simplest way to get that perfect Hexi Cardi fold without having to pull out stitch markers, color kit these stitch markers, and all that good stuff. So a hexagon has 6 sides, correct? And if we were to take that and divide it by 2, that would be 3. So what we're going to do is we are going to pick 1 corner out of the 6. And we are going to make that our pinpoint corner. So from that pinpoint, we are going to count over either counterclockwise or clockwise, does not matter. over 3 corners. So I've got my pinpoint corner here. I'm going to count over 3. So 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to take that pinpoint corner and that corner that we counted over 2, and we're going to fold. And that will create the perfect hexi cardigan fold every single time. And now that you see that I folded, this would be the sleeve and then this would be the body. So once you have gotten that fold, what I did was I did turn it inside out, and I sewed the 2 sides for what would be the arm together. And then once you've gotten both panels made, you will only sew the back side of those panels together. Is the arm. I sewed the 2 sides together. And then down the middle is where I sewed the 2 panels together to create that cardigan. Now what we're going to do is we are going to create a trim that's going to run along the bottom, up the body, and around the collar. The trim is going to be very, very simple. You can either use the same yarn or you can change to a different color, which I will be changing to a different color. And for this first row, we got to do a setup row here. We are going to single crochet into each of our stitches. Now, when you get to these chain 3 spaces, I would definitely put 2 single crochets into those spaces. But we are going to go ahead and place a single crochet into each stitch. Now, this does not matter how many stitches you get, because the next couple of rows, what we're going to do is just a back post single crochet. So you can have an even amount of stitches or an odd amount. Again, it does not matter, because all we're going to do is place a back post single crochet for the next couple of rows. So I'm going to go ahead and place a single crochet into each of my stitches. Real quick, when you get to the collar point, what I ended up doing where it kind of naturally curves, and to keep that curve, what I ended up doing was putting an extra stitch on both sides. So for me, I had a chain 3 right before it started to curve. And I ended up putting, instead of 2 single crochets, I put 3 single crochets, and that was on both sides, just to keep that natural curve in the collar. When you make it back to your starting point, the next 2 to 3 rows, you will place a back post single crochet around each stitch. Weave any loose ends in, and that will be it for today's project. I just want to say thank you for tuning in today. I hope you enjoyed today's project. And if you did, don't forget to give this video a like, share, comment, and or subscribe. If you do have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can always feel free to ask away down in the comments, or you can also email me as well. But again, just thank you for tuning in today. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you in the next video.